welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nonprofit Show. But not just any episode. This is something we've never done before. Adam Luecking, CEO and co-founder of Clear Impact, is joining us live today, and we're going to announce the winner of the Social Sector Hero of the Year. Holy moly, this is a big deal. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, I gotta say, this has been a long time coming, and this is so exciting to be back, considering I've been on 3 separate times talking about Social Sector Heroes, a book, and about this award program. So to be finally here with you to announce the winner is very exciting for us.
You know, Adam, it's so cool. We had you on. I don't even know how we found you, if somebody introduced us. I'm not really sure, maybe LinkedIn. And I remember we had you on, and I was with a co-host, I think it was Wendy Adams, and we were just like, holy moly, this guy's amazing. You said all these things that we hadn't really heard before. We got super excited. You'd written this new book, and it's just been really exciting to meet you and have you back on. And so this is something that is really a cool thing for us at the Nonprofit Show. And so we're going to bring the winner. They are in our green room, our digital green room, sitting pretty. And Adam, nobody knows who this winner is, do they? I mean, this is like just a few folks on your team, right?
Just a few folks on the team and the winner themselves. And I think it's important for the guests today who may not have seen previous episodes about the book and about this award program to learn a little bit more before we jump in, if that's all right, Julia.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I wrote the book Social Sector Hero: How Government and Philanthropy Can Fund for Impact a little over 2 years ago. From there, we've had success in it being downloaded for free across the globe at www.socialsectorhero.com. The intent of the book was to highlight from our experience and our clients we've worked with, or at least share 8 principles that we think are core practices that we think that anyone wanting to create greater social impact should want to implement. And it documents 2 case studies for each of those 8 core principles. It's a fun read. Hopefully people enjoy it. But as we wanted to continue elevating those stories and encouraging others to adopt them, we also wanted to start this award program. So this is the inaugural Social Sector of the Year Hero of the Year award. And it's just so exciting to be here. And after getting the 60 plus nominations we have, to have narrowed it down the way we have, I'm just proud of our team, and I'm excited for the winner as well as those that might be inspired by the winner and moving forward.
Well, it's really been fun. It's really been exciting. I know it's exciting for us on the Nonprofit Show because we loved what you had to say from the first time we met you. And then we loved your book, and we loved how you had taken some ideas and woven them together. And so for us to think about your team finding somebody that could be along this journey, it was absolutely fascinating. So really, really exciting. Before we move too much further in, I'm going to make sure that I extend our gratitude to all of our presenting sponsors. They include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Fundraisers Friday, Your Part-Time Controller, Third Sector Company, and of course our friends over at Clear Impact. I'm Julia C. Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy, and I have the pleasure of having this amazing group of co-hosts. They come from throughout the country. They're incredibly diverse in the areas that they serve. And so this has really just been one of those fun things that we have been watching and getting excited about doing. Adam, talk to us about Clear Impact before we bring on the winner. You're a published author. You've been in this sector for a heck of a long time, talking about impact probably before it was the sexy buzzword that it is right now, right? Give us a little bit of that trajectory before we bring the winner in.
Yeah, we're actually 18 years old as a company this month, so it's been a journey. We support government and nonprofit organizations across the globe to create measurable improvements, and we have 2 software products that help support that. Our seminal product, which was a Clear Impact scorecard, which is a dashboard tool which makes it easy and accessible for doing data reporting, data planning, sharing your data with stakeholders, etc. And our second product, Clear Impact Compile, which is a data collection or case management tool, really meant to collect data at the point of service that can be aggregated and put in the scorecard for planning and management. We're excited, like I mentioned, well, we're now in all 50 states in the United States, clients. We have 8 current countries where we have representation, and we just signed a contract last week to expand to 24 additional European countries. So we're excited about that as well.
It's really amazing, this journey. And I think about, 2 decades ago, what you were talking about and looking at was pretty dang unique. I mean, we kind of know in the back of our minds that we need to have measurables, we need to track these things. How are we doing? What's our success rate? All of this. And then yet we don't have the tools. 2 decades ago, we had groups that might be sharing one computer for their office, right? I mean, let alone a digital format. So, wow, the journey that Clear Impact has been on and where we've gotten today is really powerful. Okay, my friend, are you ready to bring in our winner?
I am, but I want to set this up if that's all right.
Yes,
Before I get to the
absolutely.
drum roll,
Yeah.
so we started this process a little over 2.5 months ago. As I mentioned already, we've had over 60 plus applicants from, I believe, over 15 countries. So we got nice broad reach in doing this. We got back some really phenomenal applications. This was really hard to do. But I will say this about the winner, which I'll introduce in just a second. It came down to really 4 reasons why we picked who we picked. Number one was community support. They had multiple nominations from numerous people in their community, which speaks to the level of deep trust that their community they serve has in them. Number two is demonstrable, measurable results. Their impact was clear and compelling, and the data clearly showed their transformative outcomes that they were achieving for those they served. They had a dedication to continuous improvement in using the data. And so they used their data to refine their efforts. And the best example they shared is that the data allowed them to make a decision to open a larger centralized location based on the data. So that clearly using it for a purpose. And the last, the clear tie to one of our 8 core principles in the book, the social sector hero principles, that is. And that is to never report data without the story. And their ability to integrate stories with their data really helps bring their mission to life. And with all of that said, drum roll, please. I'd like to introduce you all to Dan Kershaw. He's the executive director at the Furniture Bank in Toronto, Canada. He's been at it for a little over 12 years. And on the board of a common approach to impact measurement in Canada, and really excited about that connection as well. So Dan, show's all yours. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited. I worked with a furniture bank in my community several years ago, and it was just fascinating. Something that you don't think about, the needs and how it's used, and how challenging it is to run an organization like this. Talk to us about Furniture Bank, and first of all, where you're located.
So I agree. I didn't know about furniture banks 12 years ago. I'm on my 12th year, and we've heard of food banks.
Yep.
Who knows what a furniture bank is? And we talk about housing, and we talk about home, and we use them interchangeably. But every community that we're in, getting from finding housing and having a home, there's a certain magical thing, and it's called possessions and furniture and beds and microwaves and things like that. And we're based here in Toronto. And a bit about me, I came from the for-profit sector. And I arrived not knowing the first thing about charity. I know what being charitable means, but in terms of what do you mean this is to a funder in 2014, I have to mathematically prove that children need beds? Is this our sector? So we operate in Toronto, and over the years, the nature of the furniture bank that and the furniture bank, Adam, that's likely in your neighborhood, we all have to do the same thing. We all have hundreds of community agencies that are working with families that are successfully finding housing, which is incredibly hard as its own issue.
Yep.
But then who has $8,000 sitting in their bank account to rush out to a retail store to build a home from nothing? and that's
Right.
nobody. And organizations like Furniture Bank here in Toronto exist all across North America, Europe. I'm aware of them, and I'm sure in all countries this activity occurs, but it's silent. It's the type of poverty we can't see, and that's
Right.
why none of us know it existed.
Right.
And that journey, that funder saying, "Prove it," and
Yeah.
me literally just starting the job started this journey of like, well, surely we can measure and communicate the importance of people, not just children, having the possessions they need to have a home and be successful.
I love that. I think that you're voicing exactly what I saw in my community. And Adam, I've got to ask you, of all of the different organizations that came forward and responded to this call, was this a shock? And did you and your team, like a furniture bank, as Dan said, we all know what a food bank is. Did you all find that you didn't know enough about this topic?
Well, the furniture bank concept, I've never even heard of a furniture bank
Wow.
until this nomination, and obviously I've learned a lot since. So no, yes, I should say I did learn a lot about what they do and the impact that they're achieving while doing it. And I think the purpose, the mission, that all that I think is greatly aligned with the conditions of well-being we want for all children, families, and communities. And so from that extent, just really excited about learning about Dan and the Furniture Bank, and really impressed by what they're doing in their community. And frankly, all the nominations, I learned a lot about a lot of places and a lot of things I didn't know before this award process started. So I feel blessed in that regard.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's just, it speaks to the vastness of our communities looking out and saying, what is it we need and how can we impact this? Dan, you mentioned in the green room that today of all days is really an important day for your
Yeah.
organization. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Frederick Bank started in 1998. It was founded by Sister Ann Schenk. And her origin story, she was working with refugee families, helping get settled here in Toronto. And she was visiting them for dinner. And in her case, this particular moment, she arrived in an apartment where all that was in the house was a 12-inch black and white TV on the floor with 4 kids sitting around it, and they had dinner with a single pot and a milk crate as the table.
Mhm.
And when she left, there on the side of the street was a sofa. And Sister Ann was a very determined young lady, and she started calling people. Frank, you have a truck, there's a sofa, get this into this person. So she started this process. I call her the Robin Hood of furniture. There's a term called furniture waste. Furniture and home goods as a category. Uh, we send 15 billion pounds to landfills and incinerators every year. And on the other hand, we have tens of millions of people who need those goods. And this is, it's very simple. We get goods from the community and businesses, and we give it away.
Yeah.
But we do it at scale. Here in Toronto, on a good day, we're seeing 20 families. And the need, if everybody could come, is 5, 6, 7 times more. We
Mhm.
hear about all of the crises, the surge in the use of food banks. This type of poverty, it happens behind closed doors, and we can't measure that. So we're
Right.
always trying to create the systems so we can scale the flow of goods so that we can give them to more families.
I love it. I think it's just, you said something it was kind of chilling, and that is, this is behind the front door, the closed door, and so we don't know what's going on, and we think, oh, we've gotten somebody in and a home, and so bing bang, it's all solved,
Yep.
and not really. And so I love that you could kind of draw that line for us, and so that we could understand really what this is all about. It's absolutely fascinating, and congratulations on navigating this journey and this mission, and allowing everybody to move forward. It looks to me like maybe we've lost Adam briefly,
Oh.
and so you and I are going to keep chatting
good.
about this, and then he'll come back in hopefully quickly. So since you are the winner of this award, and it comes with a lot of different things, including cash and some prizes, let's step back and say,
Yeah.
how do you measure your impact? Because you mentioned this right off the bat. This is a closed kind of thing.
Yeah, it goes back to like when I walked into Furniture Bank, it was following what I call more of a traditional, or maybe it's traditional back then, where it was counts, 6 sofas, and stories.
Mhm.
And the stories are, when you're doing philanthropy, are it's critical. People need to connect to the mission. But what we started to do is, the work that we do actually affect so many different groups. And we were very fortunate to find a grant to help us do a trial on a methodology called the social return on investment. And the process ultimately gives you a whole cascade of I think it's 25 particular outcomes that occur to the 15 different stakeholders. My numbers may be wrong. I haven't looked at it recently, but it allows you to sort of sum up the collective impact you have. And it's something, formerly a marketer, and we're always busy, and nobody, who wants to read a 26-page report? No one. Yet we still have to produce it. And what the social return on investment methodology creates is ultimately it brings all of the impacts into economic equivalence. So the net effect is, for my throwaway line when I do meet with a stakeholder is, for every dollar invested in Furniture Bank, we're able to, in 2023, produce over $5 of impact for social, environmental, and community benefit.
Mhm.
So, if I said, if you give me $1, I'll give you 5 back, you would say, take $1,000.
Yeah.
And so I find for Furniture Bank, given that we impact landfill, we impact government budgets, we impact families, we impact children, we impact caseworkers,
Mhm.
corporations, the whole. It allows us to aggregate it up for somebody who is busy,
Mhm.
wants to know that it is making a difference.
Mhm.
They can hear it and move on. And those who want to really dig in and lift up the hood, they can do that too. Because the intention is those who want to look at it, it's all there. And it also allows us to benchmark what we're doing internally as well. So
Mhm.
it's been a journey, where we were in 2014. 10 years later, we were like, we haven't really updated this. And it was the first time we made a real investment, and we hired an actual impact measurement professional. So we've been blessed with working with Melik DeWint up in Canada, and she's helped take our work and professionalize it more, in part to scale. Now, what I mean by scaling is, as you know, furniture banks are everywhere. They may call themselves something differently, but
Right.
the impact of a child having a bed in Vancouver is the same as Toronto. They may be two different entities. So part of the work we've been doing since 2019 is build out a technology infrastructure so charities can plug in. And the complications and complexities of operating a furniture bank,
Mhm.
they can sort of ride on what we do here in Toronto.
Mhm.
And that is now, what we're moving into in 2025 and beyond, is those other charities don't have to invest in building their own SROI model,
Mhm.
hiring impact measurement professionals, in part because most charities don't and will never have those financial resources.
Mhm.
It's so we're on a journey that we're aligned. Every funder cares. Some care about ESG, some care about SDG, some care about this, some care about that. Our
Mhm.
model allows us to speak to the stakeholder in the language that's important to them.
For those of you joining us, Adam Luecking is having a little bit of a technology
I am
issue.
here though, so you can
Oh,
hear me.
oh, great. We
It's
just
it's
can't.
just my audio's there, my camera's not. So
Okay.
plan to talk to me and feel like there's like a special guest in the room.
All right. Well, it is. We call it in broadcasting VOG, the voice of God, because they just come from nowhere and
There you
everywhere.
go.
Hey, Adam, let me ask you this question. We were talking briefly before we introduced Dan about this issue of how metrics and the impact, if you will, of metrics and using this information has changed. Over the trajectory of my career, I'm seeing younger donors, younger corporate partners leaning in to data and metrics and making their decisions less emotionally and more with this information. I've got to believe that you and your team are seeing that as well.
I can't tell you how much the field has changed over the last 18 years or so. I used to say when we first started that I just sell a potential client on the need to start using data. Now that is commonplace. They understand they need to use data, and I have to sell them on how or what to use to do it. And that's why, and knowing what Dan was just saying about the finances and resources of nonprofits and the ability to do reporting to funders, that need is in part why we started Clear Impact, and ultimately the software tools that we have built as well to have an affordable option that allows organizations with perhaps less resources to still be able to effectively collect data and also report to those stakeholders that care.
Right. Well, it's Adam, we've had this conversation with you over the trajectory of the past several months, and that is a lot of donors, they're not used to getting this type of information, but boy, when they do, and it has a narrative and it has something that tells that story, I feel like you're building a relationship that's just going to really go forward and it's going to grow versus that one-off twist the arm to get a check one time.
Yeah, I think it helps like the ability for a funder and those that they give money to have effective dialogue about the impact of their program, have actual data in that process to do it, and also have the ability and space to share their narrative around what the story behind the data is and what are the contributing and restricting factors, who are the partners we have and partners we need, what works, or what are the evidence-based strategies, and lastly, and most importantly in that line of thinking, what's the action plan for improvement to do what by when, and having a way of documenting that with the data and being able to share that and have better conversations with your funder, I think is imperative for the future, the current status, but also the future of funding.
And building on that, we're now in a world where we can take this type of impact reporting and personalize it.
Yeah.
So that, if Adam drops off a sofa, dining room table, we know it, and we know where it went, and we know the type of family, not like in terms of giving you comfort that, here in Toronto, a donation that comes of goods, 72 hours later, it's in another home. And the opportunity for that fundraising function of communicating and letting people know that, like, yes, when you chose to make sure your goods went to Furniture Bank instead of hiring a junk company, be able to see that impact within 72 hours in your inbox or in your text box, that creates a profound knock-on effect to having more word of mouth and getting more resources and having more introductions. And that, for us, Furniture Bank, led to just this December, IKEA investing in the work that we're doing. Part of that is because of our impact measurement, to take the model that we're doing in Toronto with IKEA and bring that across the country.
So Dan, I love that you brought that up because I think that is just fascinating, and I want to drill down a little bit more. And we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to know how you are communicating. What's going on, because we started this conversation and Adam made the comment, I never had heard of a furniture bank, right? So you're like starting back where a lot of other nonprofits.
Yeah.
The community already knows what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us how you're communicating.
Social media, we're using AI. We don't have a lot of time on the how, but yeah, AI is augmenting the work so that we can do that. We're giving clients' own voices the power to visualize the type of work that we're doing. The traditional website, emails, getting things into Canva. We turned around our impact report in 48 hours because we had the data ready, we had the narrative ready, and with the team, we were able to assemble things. We could never have done that years ago.
Right.
So there's all of these capabilities that we all have that if the data is being collected in the right way, assembling it into media or mediums that are resonate with each group. We have corporate groups in the team, corporate group from a bank of 12 people. They get an impact report the next day on the outputs of what they've done, and that leads to follow-on conversations. So, the marketer in me is thrilled because you can really personalize and communicate to each audience the way they need to hear it.
Right.
Historically, we were all very much resourced and we communicated our way. And if we got it right, great. But if we got it wrong, the charity would suffer. And it's an exciting time for all of us.
And I'll add to that, part of the reason why we're excited about you winning this award, in addition to the cash prize that comes with it and some of the capacity building tools, is that they'll also get access to Clear Impact Scorecard as a way of organizing their data, adding their narrative plans to that, and sharing it, and possibly, if they decide to do so, sharing it publicly on their website for stakeholders, funders, donors to be able to engage with and build that trust that the transparency ultimately leads to.
And Adam, that's been one of the things that we really, have learned from our conversations with you and reading your book. And that is that, assembling the data, first of all, making the decision to look at data and collect it, but then telling that story and pushing it out, that's really more important than anything else, because you can do all this other work, and if it just sits in the desk or in someone's desktop, no que bueno, as we like to say here in the Southwest. I mean, so really, really an interesting piece of this pie. I feel like, Dan, you and your team are the perfect group to win, because you already understand the process. Like you're on this trajectory anyway, and know the value of this. So you're going to be able to implement these things.
Yeah. We broke our clipboard addiction in 2014. And everything started to get into tools and systems. And yes, structured data is the beginning, and then it creates opportunities. So it's, this was, you make it sound like it was just a perfect up and to the right. It's all great, but there were a lot of setbacks, and it was really just pushing our way forward. And then, funders say, let us help. Because they see the momentum, and this award is just another example of giving us that leg up to that next stage.
I love it. Well, this is really exciting. As Adam mentioned, there have been so many other organizations, and they really, Adam, is riveting. They've come from all over the world. You have domestic honorable mentions, and then you have your international. You can learn more about this at the Clear Impact website over the next couple of days. Adam, what are some of the most interesting ones that came across your team?
They're all very interesting, and there'll be more information on our website. It's just really encouraging to see the breadth. So everything from the United Way of Story County in Iowa to, say, the county government in Sonoma, or the Sonoma Human Services, all the way to the Kachara Soup Kitchen Society in Malaysia, 1 Billion Literates Foundation in India, Anglicare in Tasmania, Australia, etc. It's just the breadth and reach of these organizations, and the fact that how they're working and the deep care for measurable impact is impressive. And just really proud to be part of all this. And once again, want to thank one last time Dan for his efforts, and congratulations.
Big thank you, Adam.
Really exciting. I think this has been so much fun for us to be a part of this journey. When Adam started talking about this and what he and his team were going to do, we here at the Nonprofit Show were like, we need to do a live reveal. We need to get this on. And then it was even more fun for us, Dan, that you came to us from Canada, because we really have an international audience, and so it was really fun to see somebody, doing something so different and so very important. Adam Luecking, you can learn more about he and his team at clearimpact.com. Dan Kershaw, the executive director of Furniture Bank in Canada. Get to know Dan and his work. It's just a riveting story. And I think, Dan, I love that you said it hasn't always been easy, but you've kept moving forward. And you can learn that story at furniturebank.org. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. We need to get you back on, Dan, at another time as you expand across your nation and learn, how it is to have different, if you will, chapters and the management of all that. That's not for the faint of heart. Canada is an incredibly diverse and large nation, and geographically, wow, what a journey you and your group are going to be on.
Well, we've been on it since 2019. It's just going to go a little faster with a multinational encouraging us to show up in every community where their stores are.
I love it. It's really powerful. Well, both of you gentlemen have been a great addition to us today. Again, I want to make sure that I express my appreciation to the folks that support us, and they are our winners. They include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Fundraisers Friday, Your Part-Time Controller, Third Sector Company, and the team over at Clear Impact that put together these awards based on Adam Luecking's book. Really been fun, gentlemen. A lot of great work going out. This has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. We end each and every episode of the Nonprofit Show with this mantra, and today it means something so different to me. And it's simple, but it's very complex, and it goes like this: to stay well so you can do well. See you again, everyone.